2 weeks from now, the Sandbox is getting one hell of a shakeup. That could be a good thing or a bad thing, so let's take a look at it real quick. First off, next season's champion mods have been unveiled. That's cool, right? I'm just glad Unstoppable Sidearm is here. It's a shame there's nothing else in the game that already has the perk and also works better. Good mod choice, Bungie. A fucking plus. On another note, we are getting Unstoppable Fusion, which includes linear fusion rifles, so there's always that. Maybe it's time for that Tarantula to get some usage, Maybe Sleeper? I don't know, we'll see. Overload Bow is back as well, which means Trinity Ghoul is going to make a triumphant return, finally. More on that later though. We got a lot of exotic changes that are happening in just a few short weeks, and they are huge. So let's just rip it off like a band-aid. No sense postponing the inevitable. The Super Regen family of exotics that exist within the game have all been reworked. It's a general change mostly, but still something that directly affects what I do on this channel, so we're going to talk about it. Shards of Galanor, Ursa Furiosa, Skull of Dire Ahamkara, Pheonix Protocol, Stormdancer's Brace, all of them have had an energy return cap placed on them, and it's going to sit at 50%, meaning that the exotics by themselves will never be able to exceed that, not without the use of something external like Energy Converter. The most notable change here is to Stormdancer, which now restores super energy based on the number of enemies defeated after the cast ends, so that's going to be a big deal, though it is a little difficult to tell how hard this is going to affect any builds that take advantage of these exotics. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see. Also, finally, Geomag's top-off perk is being removed, so any of you dickhead Geomag mains in the Crucible can go eat sand. I'm glad it's gone. Moving on. Next up, we've got some more fine-tuned changes, some that are welcome and some that are a little weird, but whatever. Let's start with the Bombardiers. The bomb that drops with every dodge roll now has a secondary effect depending on your class elements. A blind for arc, a burn for solar, slow for stasis, and suppression for void. Please note that suppression is not going to take you out of your super in PvP. That would just be dumb. Good decision, Bungo. On another note, Graviton Forfeit has needed some love for a while, and it looks like Bungie was aware of that and just kind of took their sweet time getting around to it. Said exotic will now have an increased invisibility duration, and that melee regeneration speed is now directly based on how many targets are nearby. I would imagine the more targets there are, the greater the buff. While you're invisible, you get a generous boost to recovery, and your weapons reload significantly faster than normal. Now we get to talk about the elephant in the room here, and that would be, somehow, some way, Lucky Pants. The perk has been completely replaced with a new type of mod known as a holster mod, which will steadily reload weapons of a specific type while they're stowed. As for the secondary function, you know what? I'm just gonna read it. When you ready a fully loaded hand cannon that deals kinetic damage or damage that matches your subclass elements, for a short time, each hit against a combatant from that hand cannon increases the damage of the next shot. So basically, let's hope that damage increase has a cap because overflow exists. Right now I see Ariana's Vow and Hawkmoon being key weapons in the coming season, but even then, Bungie has already stated that Hawkmoon's damage increase will not be as large as you might expect. I don't know, maybe Bungie was ahead of the game this time around, but I still see that getting one hell of a nerf, and you cannot change my mind. Now we're going to talk about some Titan stuff, some of which I think is actually healthy and will genuinely benefit the class as a whole. We'll start off with Precious Scars. The exotic helm will now also create a burst of healing and bonus recovery around you whenever you kill an enemy with a weapon that matches your subclass element. I think that's a strong change, seeing as the exotic was virtually useless in almost every way beforehand. As for Icefall Mantle, the card says this exactly. Removed the slower class ability recharge scaler, so that's also a plus. The barricade is strong, and I think it's something that Titans should be allowed to take full advantage of. I mean, what's the point of being allowed to turn into a literal refrigerator if you hardly ever get the chance? All in all, I think both of those reworks for these exotics are healthy. We'll see a lot of good things come from these, I'm sure. And lastly, we tackle the Warlock, all of which are mostly good changes, actually. First off, Verity's Brow is no longer restricted to void damage only. The stacks will trigger when you get a weapon kill that matches your subclass elements, and the grenade damage bonus has been increased from 10% per stack to 20%. This is a wonderful thing, because I love that exotic and I feel like it is genuinely underused. The Stag, which I was jokingly tweeting about it being reworked only a week or two ago, is now actually being reworked, and I'm kind of blown away by that. Grants damage reduction to allied guardians standing in your rifts, 25% against combatants and 15% against players. This is going to be an extremely useful exotic for competitive PvP, simply for that reason alone. Not only are you healing, but you're also taking less damage too. Strong change. Lastly, we've got Promethean Spur. Promethean, wow, I can't fucking read. Prometheum Spur, which has been given an additional function. While standing in a rift, solar weapon kills give class ability energy. When class ability energy is full, solar weapon kills consume that energy and spawn a combination rift, healing and empowering at the target's location. To me, that means when my class ability is charged and I get a solar weapon kill while standing in a rift, a combination rift is going to spawn on that target's dead body. Bungie has a way of wording things in such a way as to where it sounds like they're just a jumble of words that amount to absolutely nothing of real value. Hopefully that was able to describe it just a little bit better. This sounds like it'll be a moderately strong PvE choice, being similar to that of a Well of Radiance, minus the massive size and huge bonus to damage and healing. I imagine that the buffs, both damage and healing, would be cut in half since one rift is giving both at the same time, but that's just kinda how my mind works. I feel like that would be the safest choice to keep people from breaking it. I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. Overall though, it is nice to see this exotic getting a larger rework, mostly because it was one of those that was significantly underused, much like many of the others that I've gone over in this video. Hopefully Bungie will keep on the trend of revitalizing older gear to bring it back into the spotlight for a little bit. The PvE meta could always use a new shift. But that's about it for the exotic changes. As I said, some of them are a little weird and some of them are very welcome, but all of them were overdue. Instead of taking the next 2 weeks off for season prep like I normally do, I'm going to be covering some theoretical builds here on the channel until the next big reveal on the 24th. We'll be talking about Dawn Chorus first, and then after that, these new exotic changes mostly, and how they'll be affecting existing builds once they're implemented into the game. It's going to be an interesting rest of the month, I'll tell you that. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Me in my cell. Goodbye.